Welcome to PolyCast, a civilization podcast focused on game strategy.
Dan Q.
Makalua.
The Me and Team.
Mad Jin.
With guest co-hosts.
Bibor. E.
Alright, whatever. I can't believe I have to do this crap. Hey everybody, this is episode 264. I am your host, Majin, and I'm joined by regular co-hosts, the Mean Team.
Back from under the bridge.
Makalua.
Majin's just mad because he's still doing this.
Dan Quick.
If you want to be regular, eat lots of fiber.
Our guest for today, Bibor.
Hello.
And Yeg.
Mudtank just died.
Bibor, at 150 episodes, you are fifth on the list with most time between guest appearances. So, congratulations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I get some sort of, certificate or medal?
Well, you have a printer, don't you? You can have a certificate if you want. You can make one. It's fine.
Okay.
We will not deny you the right to make the certificate. You can make it.
I'll even sign it Dan Q for you if you send it to me.
I would really like to be, called to these more often if possible. Now that I watched a bunch of videos and all that stuff, I'm going to play Civ 6. Unlike some of my posts on Civ Fanatics forums aren't suggesting that approach, but yeah.
Well, actually, the proper response was you're going to be playing Civ 6 since you've listened to lots of PolyCast episodes, not because you watched a whole bunch of videos, but okay.
Yeah.
I knew
whatever.
I knew that it blew something.
Whatever, Dan.
Whatever.
Oh, Dan.
Everyone knows we're the best. We don't have to say it all the time.
No, Dan needs to hear that all the time, though. It's for his ego, so, he doesn't just go, no.
I don't care
He's
about
the one who
Dan's
says
ego.
it, though.
First look at Spain. Yes, there's a video available on the YouTubes. What does Spain do? Well, you can form fleets earlier, and you get extra yield from trade routes between continents. So there's some encouragement to, bother with your water eurekas, I suppose. Units get combat bonus against players of another religion. So, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, declare holy war. Inquisitors remove religion and extra time. So, yeah, I'm sure we've heard the name. Nobody expects it. Conquistador you. Combat bonus plus 10 when tiled with the religious unit. Converts cities upon capture of Conquistador is adjacent. So, yeah, keeping up with the holy war theme, absolutely. I'm liking it. And then the mission provides faith bonus when on different continent, and bonus science when next to campus. So thanks to Casper GM for typing this up in a thread on CFC, by the way. It makes life a lot easier for me, so I don't have to remember all this. UA's name is Treasure Fleet, so in other words, Luxgill, but it's different now because it's less Luxgill and more just skill.
Actually, I think the more important part on Treasure Fleet is it says between continents. And in Civ 6, continents mean something completely different. Yeah. Because
one
every
tile
land
island,
has to split.
4 hexes from your capital is no longer a continent, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully. Although it could be if it's part of a different continent that happens to be next to your capital.
That's true. You might be right on the line between 2 continents, which would make this unit really strong in that case.
Could also be like the hex immediately to the north, south, east, or west of, your continuous landmass.
Yep.
Yeah.
It could be very useful for Spain to show up near one of those borders and then just promptly plop the first city down on the other border just to get the boost from the trade route. Form fleets earlier, well, we haven't really
We didn't have a lot of detail about the relative strength of doing that yet.
It's something like the overall combat strength goes up compared to the base unit, but we don't know what happens to promoted units that get merged together. Say you take, 2 different ships that went up different promotion lines. What happens when they get merged? Does it just pick the one and you lose out on the other? Does it even keep it?
Can you unmerge ships? If you can, I think you should just use the more well-promoted unit stats until you unmerge it. in
Yeah, I
terms
don't
of
think you
most.
can.
Oh.
Like once it's in, it's in. Also, the increase in combat strength doesn't seem to be sufficiently large enough that 2 units of one might be better than 1 fleet. And it
That's
doesn't seem to have.
assuming you can those shots on target though.
Yeah. So it's
Because
kind
we
of
still got the
one of
1 unit
those-
per hex thing. So the higher strength is a benefit if you have the hammers to spare.
Yeah, but say you've got a fleet of frigates versus 3 frigates.
Yeah, well, of
3
course.
frigates will probably destroy the fleet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I feel like that should be the case, because if it isn't, then you're going to have too obvious a decision on whether to do this. But on the other hand, like say you have 15 frigates, well, okay, the fleets start looking a little more attractive at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. And I mean, it could also be useful for like really early game. So you get, your first galley
Stack
or whatever.
Galleasses and just wreck cities, yeah.
Yeah. Because if it's like Civ 5, then early game cities have lower combat strength than some of the naval units. So it could be useful for ramming it in. Philip II is the leader, of course. Isabella style from Civ 4, the whole holy crazy person.
Yeah. So I don't know if he'll be quite that friendly towards people of the same faith. Maybe. Izzy in Civ 4 was ridiculous in how binary she was. Like if you followed her faith versus didn't.
Well, hopefully the agendas play a part in diplomacy, but not so much that it ruins diplomacy. Spain really looks like one of those civs that's meant for that religious victory plan, or at least to use it to maybe go beat somebody up and use those conquistadors with the merged missionary unit, maybe, or religious unit, whatever, it doesn't really matter, and mass convert somebody. And then
It looks like you got some oomph here anyway, though, because you have multiple bonuses that you can potentially get towards your military. Just throw down some holy wars, run with the conquistador, the religious unit. You can probably get quite a bit of extra strength in any era by the looks, just by managing that. Running against people of different faiths, which will probably be pretty easy to do for most of the game. And then,
well, if you found a religion and don't spread it,
just spread it to the cities after you take them. So I mean, you're stacking 2 combat bonuses. That's basically a game-long thing. I see some potential for some straight military beatdowns here.
Yeah, and if you happen to throw yourself into a theocracy, that's an extra 5 bonus for units, combat strength-wise, and there may be some social policies that affect that as well.
Can't be tolerating filthy heretics and heathens. No way.
Exactly. So you can just stack stuff. One of those interesting things in the video is that the Conquistador is not a horse unit. It's a bunch of guys walking around now as a change from Civ 5.
Oh, that's probably closer to accurate, to be fair.
Yeah. Conquistador switch from Civ 5 to Civ 6 seems... It's more of a walking around type of unit rather than run all over the place and go, woohoo, new city!
I mean, they brought horses to the New World, but conquistadors were not like straight cavalry units.
Yeah. At least that part's better, maybe. And of course, we still have the mission. I don't know, I actually kind of like that. The whole point about Spain really is you start on one continent and then just go somewhere else. Ignore your own continent. Don't bother filling it up. Just go elsewhere.
What would happen if, for example, Spain would start at the border of a continental landmass and then build a capital on one side, and then just build all the cities on the other side of the same landmass, which is a different continent?
Exactly.
Well, so you're just getting it towards trade, so...
you get trade, the mission boost is there too. As much as they might be going for designing something about this new thing, there's always going to be those cut lines where it's okay. But then again, I mean, I think that's generally okay because the opposite effect is, you start so deep inside your one continent that getting out of it is hard to do, and therefore you lose all your bonuses because the next continent is far, far away.
Just conquer everything, and you're good.
Yeah.
It might lead also to some interesting civilization shapes, like a snake-like civ, like chain cities to the next continent.
Yeah. England likes being on other continents. I think it's actually kind of nice because it adds more historical flavor on that respect, anyways, to the Civs rather than just here's a bunch of random bonuses and we'll slap this civilization on top of that bonus.
I agree.
'Cause,
Are there anything on biases, like spawn biases?
I don't know if we've heard anything about that.
We haven't.
None of the first looks said thou shalt always show up on an island or next to iron or whatever. None of them have actually said it, but that seems like one of those little details that we would love to know, but not necessarily high priority for our marketing.
No. But it kind of forces how you play the game as Spain if you're going to work on continents.
Yeah, but America gets
so-
continent bonus at home. Same
Yeah.
for England wanting to be elsewhere. That's kind of the whole point of the design, seems to be anyways, is map is more important to the game than before. So I guess
Yeah.
the continents would be part of that.
It would be interesting to see how the expansions will tackle this. Maybe they'll add some more generic content regarding continents, and like it happened previously in Civ games, some features that were unique to some civilizations just got ported to the core game mechanics and so on.
Oh, yeah, possible.
It's time to butcher some names.
All right.
That's a PolyCast tradition. Please go ahead.
So India got their presentation video, starting with their leader being Gandhi, as always. India gets the ability Dharma. They get a follower belief of all religions in their cities. So they get all the follower beliefs from all the other faiths in all their cities. Leader ability is butchering name time. Satyagraha. Every other Civ India has met, which has founded a religion and India is not at war with, gives a significant boost to faith. It looks like it's 5 faith per turn. Such Civs at war with India suffer happiness penalties.
Yeah, additional happiness penalties.
Additional.
That's the one I like.
So there's war weariness. Unique unit, the Varo, reduces combat strength of all adjacent combat units. That's an elephant.
No, of course. Has to
Yeah.
be.
And unique improvement is a step wall. A tile improvement provides housing and food. Bonus food if built next to farm, and faith if built next to holy site. You don't get any bonuses to nuclear weapons.
No.
No.
On which I'm disappointed. I was hoping for like
Totally.
bonus uranium or cheaper nukes.
Good news. Gandhi's not the Civ 5 style Gandhi, or India, anyways. No more weird, here's a bonus, but it's also a penalty. Dirt, dirt, dirt. The one thing people saw in the video is that the Veru's bonus seems to be stackable. So if you had 2 of these next to another unit, it would get double the penalty.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, so how many of these can you get next to somebody before you get an insta-wipe? Because they're afraid of the elephant poop.
Well, I don't want to clean it up. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Of course, they're also slow, so they're not a high-speed unit.
Agility is not the strength of this unit, no.
But that's fine. You can
Yeah.
use these instead of swords, maybe. Depends on if they actually wrote the code properly this time, instead of like in Civ 5, and wrote these in as actual horse units. I mean, they're not horse units, but, pikes should still hurt them.
Presumably, yeah, it requires horseback riding. I don't know, maybe instead of,
Yeah.
like China has the Great Wall of Stone, this can just be the Great Wall of Varus.
Stepwell is interesting. It's their way of getting extra ability to grow up in population. But yeah, seems interesting in the fact that since early game, there doesn't seem to have been, at least in the videos, a huge amount of housing or ability to get more housing. This could be a good way to get an early big city.
So India still likes to go tall.
I think the cool part about Gandhi is that they actually sort of captured the whole India faith religion mashup with this one. Historically in India, was a large number of different religions or schisms of religion or religious groups, and they didn't always really get along, but it wasn't like, say, Europe, where they tried to cleanse everybody of some other opinion. Getting a bunch of follower beliefs is pretty cool. Now, how easy will it be to get more than one is questionable.
Well, it all depends on how the religious mechanics work. Maybe it will pay for some other civs to bring their religion to your cities as India.
Yeah, it does depend on how that religion mechanic works, which we don't exactly have all of the details of it yet.
I mean, that's how some features worked in Civilization 5, right? For example, some trade routes were lucrative for other civs, so they were interested in bringing them to you instead of bringing them to some other civ or city-state.
Yeah, and if there's religious pressure from trade routes still, just like in Civ 5, yeah, you could always just have a city send trade routes to every religion on the map and then bring them in that way.
That seemed to be a lot stronger focus on trade routes being important. If they build on the already established form of faith delivery service from Civ 5.
Faith delivery service?
Hey, you force
24-hour delivery all across the globe.
No, that shit could be one way to do it, I guess. But maintaining them would be hard, because if you have your own religion, then it's always going to be pressuring away the rest, right?
You still have the
it needs to be present, right? It's not like it needs to be dominant. You just need to have it in your city. So long enough turns and you might get it. One pop might be of this other religion.
Yeah, and I guess it has to be said that you don't need to found a religion for using both the unique ability and the Gandhi ability. So you can just stack up your faith, not bother with a religion, and just use your faith for other stuff.
Yes,
I guess
get everybody's bonuses.
But India is home to so many different religions historically that I don't know if that would be a good representation.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm just saying that you could. So say you miss out on getting a religion. It's not like, oh, no, I didn't get a religion. I'm Byzantium from Civ 5.
Yeah, that was good times.
Have they revealed stuff about using faith on other stuff?
Well, the great people you can buy with faith.
It's still in?
Yeah, apparently that's still in.
Yes.
Faith or gold.
It would be fun if you could steal enemy tiles with faith or convert units. That would be probably broken, but something map-based, you know?
And of course, make other people unhappy for fighting you.
And I think they capture the Indian respect of not going to war with them for that long.
It still doesn't prevent you, so it basically gives you leeway when you're being really nasty in diplomacy, right? Because you can make other people angry and hate you, and they still get a penalty if they are attacking you.
Well, it says increase war weariness for opponents. I don't know if it said for wars that other people start. Didn't say anything about, you know.
Oh, right. So it also applies to your wars too.
Maybe. They didn't actually specify.
So somebody will get angry on their leadership because Gandhi is nuking them.
Well, I would hope. But then again, you also lose that faith, right?
That's true.
Faith. Yep. How significant that extra faith is later in the game, probably not so much. But just in case somebody gets uppity.
Wait, we don't know. Maybe we can purchase nukes with faith later. You know?
Oh, dear.
Time to
bring the mechanic.
I mean, I can't think of anything else that would be more reasonable to purchase with faith, to be fair.
Exactly.
Earlier in our chat, Beza, you're just Baz now, because I'm butchering your name. He says, I wonder if the extra unhappiness happens even if India starts the war. And to that, Pete responds, I hope the unhappiness with the mechanic occurs when India has been at war for X number of turns, prevents cheesing by declaring war on civs way around the world just to give them extra unhappiness. Why are you raining on our parade? The game isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
So Civ 6 gets the 25th anniversary edition with just 20,000 copies to be made available.
Until they sell out and they decide to issue another 20,000 because they sold well.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, it's too late.
Probably, yes.
Actually,
you're listening to this.
Actually, no.
No, wait, Dan's checking?
No, I actually checked this morning. It is available on Amazon Canada again.
Ooh.
So, what does the anniversary edition include, Mackie? Why would someone spend all this extra money on this thing? I mean, this thing.
A shinier package, an art book, and a commemorative coin set.
You had me at shiny. Continue.
Shiny coins.
Apparently there's also some bonus digital content, although it does not detail that yet.
No, because we don't know.
Well,
Let's
that's
see.
probably...
Oh, wait, that's the deluxe content. Yeah, because we don't know what all the deluxe content is yet, so.
Yeah.
You get shiny coins and an art book.
Yeah.
Well, if someone remembers Civilization 1 and colonization books, those are awesome. If I would get a book like that with this edition, that would be just enough.
Yeah, the art side of it.
No, you remember if anyone owned Civilization 1, you got like a huge playbook with all the histories of civilizations
Yes.
and units
Yes.
and so on.
I do remember that. I still have that book.
It was like a 150-page book, something like that. And it was well written too.
Yes, it was.
This is a 100-page art book.
Yeah. Basically, you're getting everything that's in the digital deluxe edition, plus the art book, plus the coins. And there's the box is apparently the white-colored box. It still has Atlas on the front like the other box, but it's just Atlas. It's not bad for a kind of a black and... Well, it's not white.
I've seen some reports that in Europe you can also get this fancy cloth map of the world or something. It's unconfirmed.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute.
This isn't an Ultima game. Why would there be a cloth map?
Because somebody thought it'd be funny to give people in Europe a completely different bonus than the people in North America.
It is funny.
What?
I think you know what the message is? They're saying, hey, Europeans, you don't know where things are on a map, so here you go. You need to...
No. It's completely the American
That would be
one.
hilarious. That would be amazing if that was.
I
the
object.
message.
I object. It's a completely different logic. What it says.
Wait a minute, would the European or one of the Europeans on the call be objecting to that statement? Why would you?
Yes, because it's financially unsound.
Because
What they're
a
trying
map
to say
better
is,
doesn't mean that it's financially unsound.
what they want to say is you need to buy both copies.
Yeah. See. Although maybe they decided the Europeans have way too many coins and didn't need more.
Wait, I'm sorry. So the message is Europeans need to buy the anniversary edition that includes the cloth and also does not include the cloth version. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry. I thought that the non-European version included something that the European doesn't.
No.
My bad.
Well, who knows? We've heard rumors that the European version has a cloth thing. But
Yeah.
So you guys
The
get a
North
map
American-
and we just get regret.
Yeah. Maybe they decided that you don't need the book because, well, you already know what civilizations have done in the past, and the Americans need to learn something?
But wait, if they're giving them the cloth map, are they saying they need to learn their borders better?
No, that's just Russia.
I guess Sid Meier had something to say about the release of this for some reason, seeing as how his name is still on the game. The vitality. Ooh, the vitality. The vitality of Civilization is in the new ideas that each design team brings to the game, as well as the passion and feedback from an incredible community. We hope players enjoy the vibrant living world and the new features the team has created in this latest offering. I'm proud of the work we've done, and I hope you enjoy playing Civilization 6 as much as they've enjoyed making it. Here's to the next 25 years. All right, so they've obviously got the next quarter century of Civilization mapped out.
Yep.
Civilization 7, 8, 9, 10, etc.
We're going to keep making games. That's the map, yes.
Yes.
For as long as they sell, we make them.
Why would you say something like that, Phil? You're almost making it like Civilization is produced by a company and published by a company that wants to make money. What?
I almost did that. Not quite. So it's still safe.
It's about the passion. This passion. The passion and feedback from an...
Show you passion.
Well, it only took you 8 years. Okay, no.
Civilization Revolution is coming to PC, apparently on the service PlayStation Now, among other games as well. Judging from the comments on TechRadar, the service isn't cheap, actually, so it might take some convincing to actually play Civ Rev on PC. I don't know why they did this, but okay.
Well, if you only want Civilization Revolution, this is not a good deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, it's a move by PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it'd only be on PS3, though. I don't even know if you can play it on the PS4.
Not presently, anyway. They're looking at that, just like the original PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Maybe in the future.
Okay, so here's my thing on this. If 2K really wanted it on the PC, they could have just slapped it on Steam for like a couple bucks. So really, I don't think this has as much to do with 2K as it has to do with Sony decided to compete with Microsoft by
Yes.
taking their games and dropping them on the PC, which Microsoft kind of has a leg up on because it's going from Exponer to something else they make.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I separated this topic from the next one. Yes, this is a Sony thing.
This week, 2K Games decided to remove CivRev from the Apple App Store.
But the thing is, it's not separate. I am quite certain that the fact that CivRev is now part of the PlayStation Now for being ported over to the PC is the exact reason why 2K removed stuff off the App Store. Sony says it's not bringing the PS Now to Apple stuff yet. It will happen potentially later, which means that they probably signed some sort of deal saying, well, you're going to provide it for PC and Mac and whatever through this service rather than doing it yourself. So that's why I think they're actually tied together.
I would understand that, except for the fact that CivRev is a really old game now.
Yeah.
It doesn't make financial sense. It's more like a side deal, I guess, for the App Store. I mean, for direct sell through App Store and the PS Now. So I don't know if this was really necessary to remove this game from the App Store.
It's an agreement between Sony and 2K. It has nothing to do with Apple, and it is just a formality to remove it because they don't earn anything. They barely earn anything from the App Store thing.
I was thinking more about the reason that the original CivRev is no longer on Apple's App Store is because there's Civilization Revolution 2 and CivRev 2 Plus. It's selling better, and it's just kind of cluttering, and maybe 2K is having to pay for that CivRev listing in there, regardless of how much they sell, and they decided, you know what, why don't we actually focus on that which we specifically put for the iOS and remove the original CivRev. That I could believe.
Whoa, pause. This CivRev that is part of the PS Now app is the actual CivRev, not that mobile garbage.
Yes, it is.
So it's the console version.
Yes.
Not the mobile version.
Yes, I realize that.
Yes.
But the timing is too convenient, right? On the same week?
The timing is suspect, yes.
This is the actual version of it that people played the crap out of on consoles.
Probably a contractual obligation that they have.
Yeah. They throw in what? Mafia? It's also them. Borderlands. Blah, blah, blah. I guess the one thing to say about the Sony thing is that previously console exclusive titles will actually be on PC via this service.
Yes.
Although it's all PS3 games. So,
It's going to be confusing.
Yeah, it could be some deal being again between Sony and 2K for this, except that at the same time, was there another side deal that then resulted in this Borderlands Legends being removed at the same time as CivRev, which is a newer spin-off title, like this CivRev being removed globally, that was released in, 2008, whereas this Borderlands spin-off was released in 2012. So has it been given a similar treatment somehow on PlayStation Now?
Maybe. You never know.
I mean, they're just removing the products from Apple stores because they are giving Sony the sole distributor for the products. So,
well, the thing is, I'm certain you can still buy CivRev, like for the console.
Yeah.
In the bargain bin somewhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I guess it's understandable. Consoles are fighting for their lives, right?
Yep.
They are fighting against these mobile devices that people play on. So any deal they can make with game developers is welcome because it's suffocating the mobile games market.
Yeah. My biggest problem with this is, that price.
Back to the PlayStation Now.
Yeah, 1 year subscription for just $99. Wow.
And if you live in the United Kingdom, you can't even get that good a deal. That's only for Canada and the US.
Yep.
You would have to pay €12.99 a month. Again, if it's just Civilization Revolution that you want, that's no deal. You better be able to stock up on a lot of games you want here.
If you just want CivRev, go buy a Xbox 360 for $10 and
exactly
play that way.
This upfront cost, either the monthly or the yearly, that gives you unlimited access to all of the games, but there are some games that you can rent for a time frame, like 4 hours, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. Don't know what that cost is. Don't know yet if CivRev applies to that, or that that's just any game that you can rent individually. That might be a better deal. But still, at the same time, why would you go out and do this when you could, again, probably just pick up CivRev in the bargain bin, which is probably the better experience on the console to begin with, because it was made for the console.
Also, Civ Rev worked better on the Xbox 360 than it did the PlayStation. So there's that.
There is that as well, yeah.
Because I had it for both.
They're also like, oh, you also need this DualShock 4 controller, and it's just like, okay, so now I'm buying additional hardware on top of it? Like,
Of course you did. They're not going to let you run around with one of the Xbone's controller.
No.
Yes, but you have to take into consideration that Sony is cornered.
Yeah.
Like, Steam is dominating now the PC and Mac and Linux platforms, and it's also moving into consoles.
The news, though, is PlayStation usually has the better games. So
yeah, but
that.
for now, right? Because
exclusivity.
Yeah.
Well, no, not even on that. Games that run on the PS4, even if it's on both PS4 and Xbone, they tend to run better on the PS4.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think PS is a great platform, but the times are changing.
Yeah, they're all fighting over trying to be on multiple platforms at the same time. For me, though, I think this was going to fall flat because it's all the old PS3 games. It's like, I'm not going to pay $99 a year to play old games when I can just get a new game.
Depends if you want
Especially because way too many developers are just putting out their old games as new.
Yeah, I just have to wait for a remastered edition.
The ability to play PlayStation 3 games, that seems more of something of an interest to someone who would like to go from a PlayStation 3 to a PlayStation 4. And it's like, oh, but hey, your PS3 games will play on the PS4. We got backwards compatibility. Okay, go. But yeah, this is PC, which is also the reason why I mentioned the DualShock 4 controller. Someone might say, I never did play Civilization Revolution because it was for the console, but now I can play it on my PC. Well,
it's also to match that Microsoft is doing the whole, you buy something for Xbox One, you get the stuff on Windows 10 too. So
yeah, but that's because no one wanted to buy the Xbox One in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, if you consider today's PC gaming, it has everything that consoles can offer. Everything, even the controllers.
Yeah.
And the games are cheap. I mean, Steam games are relatively cheap, especially compared to subscription stuff like on PS.
Yes, and it's easier to do, dare I say it, non-gaming things on a computer.
What?
What?
But if you're still interested, if we haven't totally destroyed your illusion of trying PlayStation now, there are free trials available, understandably. Can do that. You need Windows 7, Windows 8.1, or Windows 10. And, of course, with regards to Civ Rev no longer being on Apple's App Store, as 2K Mike confirmed, we're only removing these from the Apple App Store, so any customers who have previously bought the games will still have access to the content they purchased.
Yeah. Just that they don't want anybody else buying it. We don't even know how you get unhappiness for being at war.
If it's just the state of war, that would be really bad.
Yeah.
Instant weariness. No.
I'll declare on you.
This could be a cool mechanic for flavor. Like, for example, maybe some civs get penalties when pillaging other people's tiles, like other civ tiles, or capturing cities, or, I don't know, maybe some civilizations don't.
I could just see it now, you're at war with India. Yeah, you've got the flavor all right, instant war weariness. That's pretty bitter.
Yep.
We're never going to attack you or anything like that. No religious combat, no quote-unquote actual combat. I put the air quotations in there on purpose. Nope, we're just going to declare war and we're going to be ticked off. I mean, I kind of understand in like a very abstract way because now you're not going to be receiving that faith bonus from other civilizations you met that have founded a religion with whom you're not at war. But I don't really think that's what war weariness is about, should be about.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's been literally no explanation about what war weariness is, or how you gain it, or how you get rid of it, or if certain government types are better at handling it, because you would think that like a war-based government type would be better at managing war weariness than, say, a republic. That's something I would probably see in there, is that depending on your government type would depend on how war weariness affects you. Just to balance out, say, getting more economic policies in a republic, but then the militaristic style government, which gets a lot less of that stuff, would be able to handle being at war longer.
That would make complete sense.
Yeah. So no expectations that that'll actually be done. It makes too much sense.
And we also have to consider, maybe it's a hidden mechanic. What if the step well actually makes enemy units fall into the step wells?
Ooh.
That would be
Accidentally
fun.
fall in, and then they just fill it in with dirt.
Man, that would stink.
Yeah.
Especially with all the elephant poo.
Back to the elephant poop.
I mean, on the war weariness component, I would hate to see an overtime thing, because then that's just like, well, yeah, we've been at war for a while and this has been slogging on, but, I'm almost done, but my entire empire is just freaking out. I'd much rather it be related to combat and losing cities, stuff like that.
Or losing units. Something.
Yeah.
Has something to do with the progression of the war.
Yeah, so that way Gandhi declares war on somebody across the map. There is no war weariness, because other than the player face palming for that happening, but the civ itself wouldn't care unless you actually, started losing units.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff you can lose, like trade routes can be pillaged, tiles can be pillaged, units can be destroyed.
But that's active. That's my point.
Yeah.
As long as it's an active mechanic that you have to do something to generate war weariness, then it'd be okay.
And as long as there's a way to combat that as well. It's like, oh, you're going to get this war weariness, like, no matter what, so there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it above what you were already doing. That's too bad.
I hope it's more punishing in the end than early game, so you don't get, I declare warn you, you are now penalized for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, you're now handicapped because you can't grow anything in the beginning.
Well, I would hope that war weariness goes away when you're not at war.
Yeah.
Remember that war 3,000 years ago? Yeah, we're still upset about that.
Well,
Well, the player does that.
Yeah.
The AI did that.
It's a player mechanic.
There's a difference
player
between
remembers
being
that
better over
between
that,
games.
though.
oh gosh.
Yeah, there's being bitter and not wanting to work.
I could see war weariness just kind of being in the background. It's like, okay, it's active, but if you're not actively doing anything and they're not actively doing anything, then it's just no. It's like, it's open, it could happen, it's there, but for using numbers like in Civ 4, it's like 0. War weariness, 0. You have war weariness because you're at war, but it's at 0. But just know that it could become a negative at some point.
Yeah. And helps you deal with stupid war declarations from across the map.
It would also be nice if the war is going on and nothing is happening, if other civs in the game might be kind of like, so what is with you guys anyway? Are you doing something or are you not doing something? Who declared this war where nothing is going on? Hey, I don't like you as much. I denounce you. You're denounced, sir.
Yep.
Either because you declared war and did nothing and you shouldn't have declared war. It's you declared war and you did nothing. Are you stupid? Do you not know how to war other than, declare war? That's not that's not how war works. It should work. You know how to declare war, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you know how to actually war, though?
There should be a few civs with agenda items on related to war, as in, you're not prosecuting your war. You suck.
Yeah, I mean, your people would be upset as well, no? Like, you start a war and you do nothing. I mean, they would start to get really upset after a while.
We'll have to hope that they do something good with that mechanic, rather than boring.
Wow. I can just hear some people in the Civ community saying, I just hope they don't do anything bad with that mechanic. I'll take, like, a nothing over. Well, okay. I mean, there's that, I suppose.
Yeah.
The people are the heroes now. The behemoth holds the peasants now. The people
63 feedback. And I don't know what I missed here, but the first comment is that mounted should be the appropriate outgoing message from now on. And you know what? As somebody who is all about making mounted units, I have to approve of this. I am sorry I missed the previous episode. That's
You didn't bother listening to it? It was a great ending.
It's different if you're not there to experience the mounted units, then it's not quite as.
Oh no, it wasn't a unit getting mounted.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Imagine telling the truth, It wasn't really the reason I chose this topic, but I knew by having Phil introduce this topic, he would bring it up.
Yeah, I suspect you were like reading the actual conversation further down, but I chose to make that second because it's more amusing that way. And we will mount this topic next. Legalized Freedom is talking about concern with instant improvements. What was the original concern? I mean, yeah, you can have a lack of balance by having everything improve instantly.
So yes, we're back to Civilization 6 after our little tour of Civilization Revolution, yes.
Yeah.
And part of that was because in episode 263, I included an archive segment from episodes 262 where there were concerns about, wow, if builders, of course we got builders now, instead of workers with Civilization 6, that if they just insta-build improvements, then the value of that improvement and the value of that choice has been lessened. And Legalized Freedom was responding to that.
That's not... See, first of all, that's not true. You still have to prioritize your improvements, and your tile improvements really made a difference, and you had options. And no Civ has it been the case where your tile improvements are created equally. Like starting out with salt versus a fish in Civ 5 is a pretty big difference. Even if you could improve both of them instantly on constructing a worker, whatever. Even if you could do that, you would still prefer one to the other, right? So you're looking at this, and historically, the stuff that's taken really long in Civ has been a tremendous disadvantage to the point where starting with that would put you behind. Take Civ 4 Jungles, for example. So yeah, I buy that the alteration to making everything improve instantly will affect the balance, but I'm not convinced it will affect it negatively if it's something the developers give any thought whatsoever, because it's not like the balance here was good previously. And I do welcome less micromanagement.
Yeah, I mean, to paraphrase what I said in response and to springboard from that, to me, the investment is no longer, okay, I've constructed this builder, and now I've got to wait 5, 6, 7, 8 turns, whatever it is, for them to complete this improvement or that improvement. But I've got to keep making builders.
Yeah.
Whether it's the time for the hammers or it's the time and the money, and then they have 3 charges. Okay, yeah, if you're China, you get the 4th charge. Okay, but short of that, you've got those 3 charges. And then similarly to Phil says, you still have to prioritize what is it that I need and what is it that I need now. Because once that charge is gone, it's gone. Because then when I decide, okay, am I going to build another builder now? Or am I going to build something else? Am I going to buy another builder now? Or am I going to buy something else? Or am I going to save my gold so I have enough gold to buy this in this turn and the next turn?
This is also the first time, too, that this is going to be a consideration. The relative value of buying a builder being worth the tile improvements you create and being worth it early enough in the game for it to matter. That's not something we've had to consider previously because, aside from fish boats, your unit used to build improvements doesn't disappear over time. So it's really just a question of if your rate was sufficient. Now, however, you're going to be stuck. Okay, do I want to buy a builder? Is the value of these tile improvements worth this investment against other investments? That's a new consideration, and it can potentially be an interesting choice. So we're not necessarily losing here either when it comes to the strategy of the game. Now, they might dumb it down so much that there's no thought involved, but at least from a design mechanical potential, we're not losing much in losing the micromanagement because there's a lot of choices you can make here, and they might be interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing, too, is you may see your empire with a lot of empty land that you just didn't bother improving because, you don't need to improve it, or even... It
might not be worth it. The land might not be worth the cost of that builder to improve. Like, it might take 150 turns or 100 turns to pay that back, at which point, shoot, just go build a military unit and take someone else's city. Much more hammer efficient and time efficient.
If you had the old worker style where they've never died and always improve stuff, and the new district style where you plop them down and they take up a hex, if you had that combo, you'd probably improve every hex with your worker that you could, and then plop down and wipe out the improvements as needed, but you'd still have all these improvements. With this style, it's more of a choice. It's like, well, I do want to put a district there, so I'm not going to improve that, or I need to use the builder to get rid of the marsh or forest or resource, because you can harvest stuff. That takes a charge, and therefore it's more choice-based on where you put stuff.
I think this is good. I think this is a move in the right direction. I look at this from this perspective. Strategy games, you have the pooling of resources effect, where you pool some resources and then do something with them, or overtime effects. And I'm all for workers being pooling of resources effect, but because that's what happens, right? You pool hammers in a city and you build a worker, or however it's called. And then you get the effects instantly. And I would like to see more of these in Civilization because it makes it also easier on the AI and the player not to think non-stop about all these overtime effects. There's too many of those, in my opinion.
And it gets rid of automation.
Yeah, because if you have
Pure
50
automation.
workers on a map and every worker takes a certain amount of turns to do something, it's not strategically more interesting, it's just more tedious. I would like also units to be built this way, but okay, that's me. You can purchase them. I guess that's the same thing. Because money in Civ is like that. You know, you accumulate money and then you burn it. I wouldn't be against if production worked the same way.
I think unit trade-offs are a little bit better the way they are. Just because you have an upfront cost you're paying to hedge against risk of invasion, and then you have a more costly option that's less efficient that allows you to somewhat overcome some mismanagement there or rush something forward quickly. You have a little bit of a trade there. But with the tile improvement micro and that kind of stuff, yeah, I agree. Like, you're just computing future impact, but you're not really changing the depth of the choice at all there.
Legalized Freedom had also said, I guess they being 2K and Firaxis, just decided that a farm, a mine, chop a forest, etc. would all have the same value. I would suggest, if nothing else, the terrain would affect the amount of effort required. And I had talked about, you kind of already have this abstraction thing. When you think about how much time between turns is actually represented, especially earlier on in the game.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, yeah, okay, we don't know how much, quote-unquote, real-world space a hex is supposed to take up. But in that respect, it's kind of, okay, maybe at this point in time on this hex, I want this particular district here because I'm going to get some adjacency bonuses. Maybe it's the holy site. And then maybe later on, man, I could construct this improvement here. Okay, well, now I want to use that particular hex, but I had to make that decision that that's what I wanted to do initially with a builder charge, and then presumably another builder on to make that change. So yes, I'm not automating what I call like manual automation, which is, okay, it's grassland, I put a farm at some point. Oh, city can't work it yet. Nope, doesn't matter. It's going to eventually do it, so you need to construct that right now. Farm. The, of course, actually pressing the automate button, which, well, more of an issue of Civ 4 than Civ 5. But at the same time, it's more interesting choices and it's more timely choices.
And also what happens if, for example, you want to completely overhaul the way your land works? Because now that's a thing in Civ 6, right? What if you want to switch around a bunch of land improvements? Now that you have 2 more mountains within your range, you have to apply some different logic, which will be more optimal. So you can just build 5 workers or buy 5 workers and rearrange the whole tile set in a few turns. Switch around farms, switch around buildings, switch around everything. Previously, it would take like 50 turns to do this. Now you can do it if you really want in several turns.
Yeah, always possible. But at least that makes a little bit more sense.
Also maybe tied into victory types. What if your Civ goes all-out culture at some point, and you need to switch around a bunch of tile improvements just to optimize for culture? I know, we'll see.
Yeah.
It kind of also makes me think of back in Civilization 4, where in a way you would cottage. It's like, okay, I'm going to put the cottage on here. I'm not able to work it maybe right yet because I need to grow the city in order to be able to work that and still be able to grow. And then the investment that you had over time, cottage would eventually become village, and then I don't know if there was something between village and town, but it ultimately kind of became a town. And that was kind of a longer term.
There wasn't. And you guys over-cottaged. Just
well, and see, and part of that I think was also like we've got these workers. They should be doing something. Oh, if it's this particular type of tile, I definitely want to put a cottage on here because I'm not going to be able to get much food out of it. Okay, it's a plains. A cottage. Blah. Automatically. Or even in Civilization 5, it's like, oh my gosh, it's plains and but there's a forest on it. Okay, let's put a lumber mill on there. Yep, it's always going to be that because it's always what that terrain is. That's just kind of the default unless there happens to be some other kind of resource on that. Now there's more consideration going into that. It ends up being more situational, not just from game to game, but also within the game itself. At the same time, someone might say, well, to a new player, like, this is going to be, like, really overwhelming. I'd say that's 6 half dozen of the other, because if you told someone, it's like, hey, you're going to build this worker, and you're going to want that around forever and a day, and by the way, you're going to want to put farms on all of these things, but, it's going to take this many turns for it, and then it's going to take this many turns for that. And it's still going to be micro, but I don't think it's necessarily any more or any less. It's just different, and I think it's smarter.
I think there's going to be less, and that's a good thing for the game, because they're removing the mundane stuff, really.
really thinking about what to do instead of just randomly building X number of workers and just clicking a tile and, building a farm or whatever.
Or worse yet, planning out 20 turns in advance to essentially accomplish the same strategic choice.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure you could plan out 20 turns in advance where you want every single tile improvement in district.
Yeah, but it's going to be easier to do, and that's not a bad thing. You're not changing what's optimal between these two models, but one of them's a lot less painful and tedious.
Yeah.
I mean, units still need to move, so if you want to optimize, if you're getting iron working in 5 turns, you want your workers to be there in 5 turns, so that still didn't change. The only thing that changed is that you have to count for each individual worker how much turns they need to, complete some task. Which is fine if you have 2 workers, but if you have 50, it's a problem.
Yeah, or in this case, you have to decide, do you really want that, shrine or temple right now to help you get that religion, or do you need to make that builder instead so that you can get that iron up and running in time?
Yeah. I guess they will work like great people in Civ 5, right? You kept them around until you decided where to plant that certain tile improvement.
I made a playthrough with France, one of the last cultural victories I did, where I had to spend 200 turns planning out how to build my chateaus to optimally build them throughout a continent. And Civ 6 seems to be a lot more nearby placement of tile improvements than Civ 5 is. So the whole changing and adapting your continental tile improvements is going to be a lot more tedious, especially if you had the long 5-turn timer on building stuff. Where stuff being instant is just making it a lot easier, but you still have the planning issues. You still have to micromanage your planning and prepare everything. They just changed the theme of it, less spamming. I like it.
Well, I mean, when you bring up stuff like farms need to be adjacent to each other in certain configurations to get bonuses, that's definitely got to.
And everything.
Yeah, that's definitely a bigger change from Civ 5, where it was just like, oh well, I need more farms because I need more food. Well, flatland here, 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 and here.
And to an extent, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult. But it's going to be a lot less tedious and more planning and more of the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could also have a situation where it's like, well, I really need this to be here, but I also need that to be there. You could easily run into choice issues. Like, okay, I really can't have both here. So pick one.
And that is a good thing.
Yeah.
And in Civilization 5 would be, oh man, I wish my farms would be more productive. Oh, I know. They'll all be more productive. All I have to do is get to this tech. Done. I really didn't think about where the farm was or wasn't on the map.
Yeah. Oh, you still sort of have that in Civ 6, but the
you do, but it's not just that.
Yeah, it's not just that. It actually requires some configurations.
The fact that previously every tile type required a different amount of turns to actually complete the work, like chopping a jungle versus building a farm, I think that was just too much overhead on how much things the player had to store in his mind all the time, all the data.
Probably. I agree, it's a lot better that it's streamlined.
Wow, I really thought Mackie was going to jump in there and say, or her mind.
No.
Apparently not.
Boo on using the word streamlined.
Only because it gets misused for something it isn't.
Yeah, it's different. Removing the unnecessary micro is good streamlining. Just removing micro is bad streamlining.
Yep.
We'll play this out and see how it works and see if it's mindless or not and see what happens.
Oh gosh, yeah, I mean the game could come out and it could be like, man, remember what we said in that previous episode about how this system was going to be better? Man, no, it sucks. I want Civ 5 back. So who knows?
Or 4.
Well, escalating costs are still a question mark on this. I think it's overall better because it starts making the game choices more important over time. Before, you get 4 or 5 workers, you can use them forever. Never had to worry about that production again. But every time you make a builder, the next one goes up in cost, which means slowly your
builder wisely.
Yeah, also it means you have an efficiency loss over time if you don't manage your charges.
Might not want to underpopulate maps, though.
Well, no, I mean, you could just go bigger, but instead of saying, I'm going to spam out a bunch of workers to mass burn down this rainforest because it'll take forever to get rid of them. And then even though in previous game, you mass hack out those rainforests to be able to eventually make land for stuff. In Civ 6, it's more of, no, that rainforest is staying there until I have a need to actually get rid of it.
And some people have said, hey, this increasing cost of builders, you're just trying to force that in the gameplay. There's no realistic connection to that at all. Okay, you want a realistic connection? As time goes on, builders demand higher wages, better training, better safety equipment. So there's why they cost more hammers and or gold to buy or to make as the game goes on.
Not only that.
You're welcome.
Also, buildings become more complex, right?
Support the ongoing PolyCast Patreon campaign.
Collective achievements.
Personal incentives.
Month-to-month commitment.
For more information, visit thepolycast.net/Patreon.
Call in today.
In North America, 301-637-7659.
In Europe, 44121-288-7659.
The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about.
Log on to the series' official website at
thepolycast.net.
Do you guys have any plans on moving to the video format?
Well, I have plans, but they've yet to be approved.
No one needs to see your underwear.
That's completely untrue.
Well, assuming he's even wearing any.
There's proper sites for that.
The earlier conversation from Biza again is like, is PolyCast sound only? And I'm like, yeah. And Matt is like, normally, but every time we go video, the me and team takes his clothes off. And then I said, well, pants at least. But then I know he was responding to something you were saying on the call. But then the next line from him is, too mad, if we are lucky. So I'm like, wait.
Come on.
They would think it would be lucky if Phil took his clothes off? What? Whoa.
No. Lucky was only his pants.
The pants. Yeah.
When am I ever wearing pants? I wear pants as infrequently as possible. I say this all the time.
But he specifically said at Mad commenting about taking the clothes off. I'm the one that said, well, pants at least. So I'm thinking like, whoa. Because Phil wears shorts, people. I don't know where your mind is in the freaking gutter, I'm sure.
Even a kid in Pokemon will tell you that shorts are amazing. So you know it must be true.
Well, we'd ask Phil if they were short shorts, but, we don't want answers to such things.
Come on, even I am so
But if you live in Europe, you can make your own pants from civilization maps now.
What's that? I have a lot of anniversary editions and make pants.
Yeah. It's an expensive enterprise, but it can be done.
Yeah.
Oh, I can just see it now. You wear those pants you made from that cloth, and you'd be like, hey, don't touch my Australia.
Why did you put Australia right there?
Oh, where else?
Is it New Zealand, or are you just happy to see me?
Florida showing.
That you're New Zealand, are you happy to see me? I mean, if you're in Australia right there, New Zealand's next door, so...
So this was PolyCast number 264.
Wait, 264 divided by 2, that's... wow. That's a lot of years this podcast has been going on.
Oh, yeah, this is our 10th season.
Whoa.
Yeah, and in fact, it'll be specifically 10 years in October. Friday, October 20th, 2006 is when the first episode of PolyCast was published, which was the third Friday of that month. And then exactly 10 years later, on Friday, October 21st, 2016, is when Civ 6 is supposed to be released, which is the 25th anniversary of that series and the 10th anniversary for this show. It's like we're in sync.
Wow.
We're in sync, man. It's just all heart.
We're a boy band?
You're a boy band.
I'm a one-man boy band.
No pants, boy bands.
I don't even want to know the kind of fangirls that would attract.
I'll formally respond to your I am there before. Any plans on moving to the video format? Not at this time.
With Imagine.
Still rocking the short shorts.
Makalua.
Yeah, on that note, I'm out of here. Bye.
Thank you.
Holy is Rolly.
The me and team.
Gaze unto me, the living embodiment of tasteful.
Guest Bieber.
It was great to be here.
And yeah, I think I'll just leave. I'm Eek. Bye.
Phil, the living embodiment of tasteful, rep tasteful.
What?
Oh, and by the way,
Yeah, okay.
Now bend over.
I didn't want to acknowledge this last episode because Phil wasn't on the show, but hey, Matt, congratulations on being the 4th Polycast co-host to reach 100 plus episodes. This was your 101st as a regular host.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations, condolences, and all the rest.
Yeah.
Record date?
September 3rd, 2016.
Civilization 4, 5, and Beyond Earth sound clips. Copyright Take-Two Interactive. Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.